I think one of the important, when we get into the AI discussion, is that I think it's really important that we get a reality check. Is we hear the term AI. And when I talk to many different industry experts and different companies and fields, is that we all have different interpretations of what the A means. The common terminology is specifically in media or in the news, we talk about artificial intelligence. In the industry, we tend to talk about augmented intelligence. I've heard more recent kind of variations of it being artifact intelligence or assisted intelligence, and we get into all these different, because the reality check is today, majority of the actually systems and vendors that are actually providing these solutions are not doing artificial intelligence. They're actually doing augmented intelligence. They're doing assisted intelligence. This is data that's being generated to help us humans make decisions. It's simply, in simple terms, it's advanced automation. That's what it is. So the reality check of most things we see in the industry today is an automated way of doing things. It's helping humans make faster decisions. It's helping take large amounts of data and putting it through algorithms that helps us make a decision or an outcome based on that information. So that's the reality check, is that, yes, but artificial intelligence is coming. It has been developed. We are moving closer to the true term, is that self-actually learning and basically sufficient and independent systems and algorithms. So absolutely, I think that the reality check is that we're getting there in regards to intelligence, but the reality check is today it's more of a augmented or assisted intelligence. So we have to remember, we're looking at AI, whatever the A will mean, is that we have to look at it from a perspective is that it's a tool. It's a mathematical algorithm, it's a processing, it's a tool. And in regards to tools themselves, is that can either be used for good purposes, for basically helping us with our lives and helping making good decisions and helping us make advancements in society and in digital nations. But it can also be used for bad. It can be used basically for harmful. It can be used for cyber attacks. It can be used for citizen profiling. It can be used for surveillance. We see a lot of things like facial recognition and then being used to interpret people's emotions and feelings and decisions. So that perspective is that it has those both positive and negative perspectives. But at the end of the day, humans are creating it. And we're humans that's creating. We don't create things that's necessarily perfect. If we look at, if we were perfect in creating software, there would be no vulnerabilities. And the same goes to when we're actually creating AI algorithms and cognitive, interactions in science, is that we will, by nature, potentially build flaws into them. Knowingly or unknowingly, depending on who is doing it. So yes, AI algorithms will have flaws. They will have vulnerabilities. They can be abused. And they can have that abuse that could actually have good outcomes and bad outcomes. Absolutely, this is where we start talking about building trust. This is where how AI has been used in regards to whether it's being used by governments, by industries, by social media companies, and this is really, or even political parties are using it for their own advantage into helping who do I need to make changes in the voting system in order for them to win. So ultimately what it comes down to is that I'm not a big fan of when a company is using AI, because AI should be classified in regards to a weapon. It is a weapon that can actually be used to change outcomes of many things. And we should be classifying it that. So when someone's using AI in regards to some type of automated decision making, they must be transparent into the uses and purposes. There has to be not just transparency, but also oversight. Explainability is, how did that AI system come to the decision it made? What was the purpose? What was the kind of input and the outputs that came along the way that helped it come to that decision? So explainability is really important. Transparency is really important, because those two items will help us build trust. And actually trust and understanding, and allowing AI to be used more effectively and ultimately for good purposes as well. It definitely shouldn't be the manufacturer or it should be like an independent party or body that should be actually formed. And government should have a separate working strategy that is there for oversight of AI use within societies. So it should definitely be an independent, and it should be separated from a lot of the government decision making. So it should be something that allows complete independent oversight. Almost like what you have with, for example, the food industry. is that you have a food industry oversight that is responsible for making sure that the food is consumable and is meeting the right standards. So yes, that oversight should also be having some standards as well that should be actually built into the strategies as well. It is actually, I just participated in the Tallinn Digital Summit, which was just recently in Estonia, and the Estonian government bring together many nations from around the world, and they bring in their experts from digital societies, and this time they specifically focused around AI, and they brought in all of the countries that either have strategies that's in place or countries that's also building their strategies, and they came to Estonia in order to have this massive discussion. And a large part of the discussion was around standards, common terminologies. It was around the strategies. It was around trust and explainability, and where that AI could be used that would be, let's say, effective for the good purposes. So yes, there is discussions in that direction, but we're very in the early stages.